we're going to start today first with Robert Leo. And we're going to have Bob speak to you. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself, his background, and then what spurred on the 2 NDEs he had. So please give him your kind attention, and please, if you have questions, let's ask him. Bob?
Thank you, John. My background is that I was a very studious person. I went to college, I got great honors, and I had gotten this great job, United Technologies Research Center. And I was living at home with my parents. I was planning to move out and do some great things. And I was driving back from work towards my parents' house. It was like a snowy day. The snow had stopped, but there were like pieces of ice on the road and that. And as I was turning on a small road, a little child ran out in front of me, and I stopped my car. There's another car coming down the road in the opposite direction that didn't pay attention to this. And I waited for the child to run across. I was going to move forward. But the child went back and forth like he couldn't make up his mind. So as I was completely stopped, this other car was coming right on me. It was going to hit me head on. And I felt that I was going to die. There's nothing I could do with my car because of the situation of the road and that, and the child not able to discern which way to go. And it seemed to take forever for me to get hit. It was like an absence of time. And when his car struck my car, I absorbed the impact because my car was stopped. But there's no noise. And when I was hit, I went back in my car. It was like very slow motion. And then I moved forward again, and back and forward. At the same time, I was out of my car looking down at my body doing this. And there was a lot of damage to my car, but again, no noise. It seemed like an absence of time. And during this, I remember talking, just my part of the conversation, saying, I'm too young to die. I've got this great job at the research center, got a great life ahead of me. I want to do all these great things. Give me another chance. Then I saw a life for you. I saw my life pass in front of me, certain segments. They're more like milestones. I got in a scholarship. I was raised as a Catholic. I got in confirmation. And I saw many of these good things happening to me in my life. And then slowly, I was back in my car, and I was in a lot of pain. And a year later, I did have surgery on my back. The first impact from this on my life was that I had been raised as a Catholic, and I was a very good Catholic, and I went to school, and I went to religious ceremonies. I went to church every Sunday. But it was kind of like rote talking about, what is God? God's everywhere, and talking about prayers. But after this accident, I stopped going to church. I felt that I was very spiritual, that I didn't need to go to church anymore, that I knew God was within me, and I didn't need a middleman to talk to God. 2007, I had a second NDE. I had some internal bleeding. I went to the hospital. I was given a pint of blood. I was in the hospital for about 9 days. And a couple days later, they gave me a second pint of blood. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, I went downhill fast. It was that night, and they were giving me 2 pints of blood. They weren't sure if I was going to make it. So I'm laying on my bed, and I said, God, universe, whatever's out there, I'm calling on you for your help. Help me now. And something happened. It was very dramatic. Somehow, I was lying on my bed, and I and my bed were going high up in the air. It's like we're going so high up, the breeze was brushing by me. But yet, I could see my room. I could see the IVs. I could see the blood in my arms and those stands, and the other part of my room was not moving. But I did go high up in the air with my bed. Next day, I started doing much better. 2 days later, I was out of the hospital. And again, I felt much more spiritual, that I know much more about God. And I don't necessarily need a religion. I do like spiritualism because I get to talk to people on the other side, but it did change my life.
Do we have any questions for Robert? Gentleman there?
Hi.
Hi there.
Your relationship with, your relationships, you mentioned that you were very much into the Catholic religion.
Right.
And as I was also. And I know that in my life I have my mother, my sister, everybody else in the Catholic religion as well. How was that before and after when you made a decision?
They were not as happy that I decided to stop going to church. But they understood it. It was like my decision. What do I want to do with my life? They continued to go to church. they felt it was necessary. They felt to be connected to God, they needed to go to church and meet God in the church, meet God through the priests or the nuns. Yes.
One more question. Did they believe you?
Well, I don't know if they really accepted what I said, because we did talk back and forth about why was I not going to church anymore. But they accepted it. They accepted I had made this decision, and I felt it was best for me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes, please.
Did this experience make you react differently in life? Did you have a different perspective or live any different?
I did, yes. When I was in the car accident and I was asking permission to stay here, I was saying that, please let me stay, there's so much to do. And I felt at that point that I was given permission because I then understood that I had a much better purpose in life. And just instead of going out, working and enjoying life, I was really here for a purpose. And I became much more spiritual. I started going to, let's say, more metaphysical groups. I talked to groups that dealt with the psychics, metaphysical, spirituality. So I shifted my interest. Because I was in school, I was a math major, science major. I was very focused on, here's logic. This is caused by this. But there were a number of things that you really can't explain by logic. And then I opened up, my beliefs and my field to there are other things out there we can't understand with logic. There's something at a higher level. Yes?
You mentioned that you asked to continue doing what you were doing, that you had to finish it. After the experiences, were they the same goals?
I would say that my goals changed because before the accident, I was just focused on my work. I want to do my work. I was living at home looking for an apartment and all that. It was more about living day to day. I didn't really have any long-term goals. But after being allowed to continue my life here, I felt I was here for a purpose. And that my purpose was much higher, that I was here to help other people also, not to focus just on my own life, to look at the broader picture. Yes?
I'm sorry, how old did you say you were when these things happened?
The car accident, I was about 21, 22. And the loss of blood was about 3-4 years ago. So it was like a big gap in time between them. Yes?
You mentioned that now you communicate with others from the other side. Is that something that you've explored, you've tried to do more frequently through classes or spiritual exploration, or is that something that just happens?
It didn't just happen. It was more like I was pushed in that direction. It's like you really want to talk to people on the other side, so start taking classes. I started taking psychic development classes, metaphysical classes, classes through the spiritual churches, circles, mediumship classes. There's a lot of things out there, and it may be more open to explore them. And I'm with the Spiritualist Church in Newington, Connecticut. And I do take classes with them and classes at the national organization and all that. So there's a lot out there, and I would encourage people to take advantage of them.
Any other questions for this gentleman? Thank you.